What's going on, guys? It's Al with Coop's Car Correction. Haven't made a good YouTube video, like an actual long form video, in a while, but something I want to get back into this year. I got a lot of big things going on this year, and just finally popped for a GoPro Hero 10. Been doing it on my iPhone. It's a pain in the butt to be videotaping while you're working, especially like if I'm using my phone to answer phone calls or, you know, listen to music. It's just a headache. So now I got this GoPro. It's going to be a little bit easier for me to make videos. So what I want to do is kind of display the type of work I'm doing, maybe go into depth of what the cars are, because I see some cool cars. You know, that be ceramic coatings, paintless dent repair, what kind of products I use, little tips I do, you know, pretty much anything like that. But anyways, today it's nasty outside, pouring rain. Been super busy lately, but I wanted to make some time to go along with this car, because this car is the first one I've seen like this, and it's a super cool car. But it is a brand new 2023 CT5-V Blackwing. Super nice car. But this thing, I'm going to be polishing and ceramic coating it. And I just wanted to show one thing. You know, when people buy a brand new car and before we ceramic coat it, you know, we do at least a base level like machine polish, which will get some fine scratches out, but not really any heavy scratching. And like when you quote something, you have to put that in mind of how much time you're gonna have into, you know, paint correcting it. Even though it's brand new, people can assume that their paint's perfect and it doesn't need much prep work. Well, this car, the owner hasn't washed. It's only got like, I don't know, maybe 20 miles on it. It's not a lot. And he really didn't see a lot of swirls, but as soon as he pulled up, I saw him. And now that I got it washed off, you could definitely see him under my light. But it's kind of hard to pick up on the camera, but you could see like all those scratches coming through. Now, I'm gonna go into and start polishing them. I don't know how deep they are, how aggressive I'm gonna have to go, but especially on black, if those are all over the car, that's gonna turn this project, you know, could turn it into twice the amount of time. But I don't know if this was the, you know, just scratches that happened in transit, something that the porters did when they washed it at the dealer. But this is the kind of stuff that we do not want to have under the ceramic coating. Like this, we want to make this paint as perfect as possible before we coat it. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna go through. I got some different pads. I just got a couple stuff, different compounds, polishes that I'm gonna try out to see. I want to do as least aggressive as I can to get a good product. All right, guys, so I did a little test spot. I started off with the softest pad I have in a light polish. I always want to start with the least abrasive, just because you'll get the finest finished product, the best luster, and that will be the least amount of work, because I really don't have to follow it up with another pad or polish. But wasn't cutting it, too many scratches. So I stepped up to a little bit harder blue pad and this correcting polish from Adams, which I love. On certain colors, you can get away with doing like a one step, but on black, I'm gonna end up having to follow it up with a softer pad and a finer polish to really get it to pop. And I don't want to have any haze marks or anything like that. But came out pretty good. I'm gonna have some time in it, but then, you know, having to do a two-step on this, that's gonna create this job into almost twice as long. And look at this. Like, the more I look at it, I don't know if the dealer ran it through their automatic wash or something, but this thing is just tore up. And this thing's barely got any miles on it, and I'm almost positive the owner hasn't taken it through any washes yet. But look at this. So now all those have to be polished out before I'm gonna coat it. Some people might just polish it to kind of half-ass hide them up. Not me. This thing's gonna look as perfect as possible before it gets coated. Man, this side is way worse.
Hopefully these come up pretty good. But I mean, look at all those scratches. Oh, there. You can see all those. Those are all scratches. Right there's a little tile mark what you see. Look at all them scratches. Now, I'm not sure if the owner has been taking these through auto washes or if this is purely at the dealer, but like those aren't just your normal swirls. That's from, you know, dirty mitts or brushes, whatever, dragging along it. Like, if you're hand washing your stuff, even if you're using pretty nasty practices, it would be very hard to get your car to be that bad, I would think. Maybe, don't hold me to it, don't try it, but like that's not just swirls, those are all scratches. But we'll get her polished out. This side, with how bad it is, I'm gonna end up having to probably use a microfiber pad and a heavier compound because this side's just terrible. And if I use a finer polish, I'll be here all day trying to cut through these deep scratches. Alright, so I got the whole thing pretty much corrected. Still have to polish it, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wash it, foam cannon it, like a no-touch wash to get all the compound dust and stuff off. There's just a ton of dust on this and all the cracks, and it's just easier to pressure wash it now to get that stuff blown out, all the cracks. Plus, if you leave that dust on there and you pick it up while you're polishing, you could start putting scratches in with that dust because that's like mixed up clear coat and compound, which, you know, I don't want to have to go back after polishing and recorrect some spots because I dragged that dust along it. But anyways, the majority of it I did two-step ended up so far. So I used, for my cut, I used like a microfiber pad like this with Adam's compound. Whoop. Adams compound. And then I use blue pad with correcting polish. So now, like I said, I'm just gonna rinse it. Well, I'm gonna pressure wash it, then foam cannon it, rinse it off, dry it, and then I'm gonna let it sit for a few hours and then get to polishing it. I just want to explain one quick thing of why all the prep work is so important before you coat it. So when you coat a car, it's going to be super slick. Water's going to run off really well. But if you don't prep it and the surface under it isn't flat and smooth, it'll still bead water, but it's not going to be, you know, as good as it could be. So right now, this car has just been a two-step correction so far. It hasn't been polished, so it's not as slick as it's going to be before coating. But watch how the water just beads and runs off, and there's no coating on this. So that's another reason, not just necessarily for how it looks, because you don't want all those scratches and swirls in it if you're coating it, but having that surface under the coating being as smooth as possible is gonna make your coating even slicker, because you're putting it on a level surface. It's like painting over gravel. Like, you're not gonna paint over gravel and have the wall feel slick. Like, you know, I don't know if that's a terrible analogy, but it's all I could come up with. So. All right, guys, starting to polish this thing. This will be the last step before I alcohol prep it and coat it, but just using a soft white pad and some fine machine polish. And this is just some stuff from Auto Pride, but it's a very fine polish. So yeah, go over the whole car. It looks awesome already. But after it's polished, it's going to be looking even better, and then throw the coating on top of it. It's going to look fresh. So here's that area, and that door. This side on the driver's side was just tore up bad, but got it all refined. This thing looks awesome. Tons of depth, super wet. Just got a few more panels to refine with polish, and go on to the next step. Got to pull the wheels, ceramic coat those with the brake calipers, and then coat the car, bake it, all that good stuff. So onto the wheels. I got this back one done. The customer showed me when he dropped it off. So all this carbon, I'm not sure if it's a dealer installed option, but I'm starting to think it is. So there's a crack on this one, and he's like, oh, the dealer's gonna replace it. But when I was correcting this deck lid, I noticed a ton of scratches around the spoiler, like it was something installed after the fact. So like I said, I'm not sure if it's a dealer installed item, but then when I went to back up this corner, you know, I'm looking to see where to jack it up from, and it's splash guard. It's cracked on both sides. And that's kind of where you would jack it up at too, so that kind of stinks, but just the plastic that needs to be replaced. But yeah, something to think about when you're picking up a car from the dealer. Getting this thing coated now. Got the wheels all done. Thing's gonna look sweet. this thing looks wet. Man, that's a really sharp car. Black is always a pain to take care of and shows everything, but when it is polished up, you cannot beat it. Alrighty. All coated